Here is Amazing Spider-Man 348. I have been slowly building up to this. I looked at the entire Barry Amner run on Avengers, and I looked at the guest appearances of that team and stuff like that. And this is the very definite end to that short-lived run. This is the issue where Sandman and Spider-Man leave the Avengers because the Spider-Man writer was bitter about it. This is by David Michelinie and Brie Larson's granddad. It is just spitefully undoing something that happened in another book. Barry Amner, he had this odd lineup for the Avengers, which was refreshing in that it felt unique and special. And two of the new members to the team were Spider-Man and his former baddie, Sandman, who had reformed in the early 80s. Barry Amner also introduced a new character called Rage, who I think is sorely missing from this issue. He should be in this issue, but the truth is, this issue doesn't care. David Michelinie was upset that they took Spider-Man and Sandman, and he is now doing an issue to sabotage things. And this is what caused Barry Amner to quit Avengers. I understand Spider-Man, he already had 3 other titles that David Michelinie was probably having to keep up with. But Sandman is just petty territorial bullshit. After this, after David Michelinie ends Sandman's very brief time as an Avenger, David Michelinie never writes Sandman again. Not once. He never does anything with him. He has no plans for Sandman, but he is annoyed that Barry Amner and the Avengers book have taken what he perceives as his toy. There is Mary James, sexy supermodel wife Mary James, in a sexy 90s businesswoman power suit. I'd let her write up a legally binding contract for me. To get back to the Barry Amner run, we never got to see Spider-Man much at all. He was in like 2 issues of it in the background. So him joining certainly feels like an unfulfilled thing. He actually joined the team earlier, right at the end of the Jason Byrne run, and then they did a swerve when Jason Byrne left and said that he was leaving the team at the end. So then, 13 issues later, Barry Amner brought him back, and it went nowhere. As I said, I understand Spider-Man not being on the Avengers a bit. Spider-Man is already stretched thin across all of Marvel's comics. He doesn't really need to be on Avengers unless a writer has an idea for him there. And Jason Byrne did. And maybe Barry Amner did, and we just never got to see it. Sandman, on the other hand, Sandman was great on the Avengers. He had a lot of potential. He was an interesting character with a notable background. He never really sat well with me as a Spider-Man bad guy because he is far too powerful for Spider-Man. And with that, he was farmed out to the Fantastic Force a lot in the Silver Age. Him reforming and abandoning his life of crime, that was handled well, and it was a nice constant for a while, where you got to see this character evolve, and it seemed to stick. But the problem was that he didn't really have anywhere to go. As a reformed villain, he can only team up so many times with Spider-Man. Like, even once a year is probably too much. Putting him on the Avengers, though, that was a great move. It let this character's story have a home. We could truly explore the different facets of him having this criminal history and trying to prove to the world that he has changed and that the Avengers haven't made a huge mistake in trusting him and taking this enormous leap of faith on him. I suppose some cynics might argue that the Avengers ever getting Sandman to join the team is just wrong and out of character and stupid. But Sandman had been a goody bird for over a decade before he joined the Avengers. And he had the Thing and Spider-Man going to bat for him. I think Hawkeye had a story where he teamed up with him as well. Our story here is that Sandman, he unearths a weapons deal. Spider-Man shows up to help him. And Sandman decides to call in the Avengers. Although, as I noted, it's not all of the team. Rage isn't there. He should be. He really should be. They were establishing a nice friendship and camaraderie between Sandman and Rage. And if you're doing a Sandman story, and if Sandman is unceremoniously leaving the team, I want Rage there. I didn't think Iron Man is there either, but that's because David Miscellaneous really doesn't care about the Avengers. This is just a bit of admin for him. And I didn't like this admin because it's just selfish. Our ear there is a miscoloured Kazar. And our reason for Sandman leaving the team is fucking stupid. Captain America tells him off for calling in the Avengers for a domestic situation when their UN charter only allows them to handle global threats and stuff like that. This is total bullshit. This is wrong. This is stupid. In Barry Amner's run, one of the ongoing bad guys was a local drug dealer who wanted revenge against Rage. This is just bad writing to force Sandman off the team with a stupid reason. Sandman storms off and quits because he thought Captain America was going to kick him off the team anyway. Absolute shite. And this is happening in Spider-Man's book. It's not even mentioned in the Avengers series. Just between issues, Sandman is gone. They make one reference to him about 9 issues later and say that it didn't work out. This is such rubbish. It makes the Avengers look like wankers and hippos crates. It makes Sandman's redemption and his joining the Avengers seem like lesser thing by having them be short-tempered and look like a screw-up. Spider-Man, he permanently leaves the Avengers here too. He doesn't appear in their book as a member of the team again until one Kurt Busey story and then Michael Bryan Benson. They didn't even acknowledge that or really write him out here. They just have him say Sandman leave and then he seems to leave too. This is a crap story that is squandering a really good direction for a character, and it's doing so for no reason except pettiness. Fuck this story with 7 thumbs up.